Hey guys, today's video is going to be showing you how I made this set of Tomorrowland inspired Mickey ears. Now the special thing about these ears is that they do include a sound box with a recording from the actual ride.
Thank you, Mr. Morrow. Mr. Tom Morrow, please contact Mr. Johnson at the control tower to confirm your flight to the moon.
So starting off, I picked up this blue kind of satin fabric from Hobby Lobby, and you only need about 6 inches of it. And I'm going to be using the largest ear cutting template that I have linked down below for you guys. You're going to trace 4 of these onto the back side or the wrong side of the fabric and then cut them out. You can use scissors to cut them out, but my preferred method is to use a cutting mat and a tiny rotary blade. Also, be sure that if you're going to be using a Sharpie or something like that, that it's not going to bleed through, because even though it shouldn't cause any issues, obviously you want to prevent it as much as possible. After cutting out 4 of the blue satin fabric, then you're going to move on to cardboard. Now for the cardboard, you're going to be using this smallest template linked down below called the foam and batting template, but again, you're going to trace 4 of these and then cut them out of your cardboard. I like to use an X-Acto knife on my cutting mat, but again, scissors will work totally fine. Okay guys, so I wanted to show you what's going to make this set of ears special, which is that I have this 6-pack of white sound record. I think it says pillow. It includes up to 20 seconds of recording. The reason I have this is because my husband, being the sweetest guy ever, made me a set of ears for Mother's Day. And he actually put a little sound recording device in the bow.
Can you turn me into a mama?
So I don't know if you guys could really hear that, but they are Yzma and like Emperor's New Groove themed, and it's because my Mother's Day gift theme was "You Turned Me Into a Mama." Get it? Anyway, so he had the girls record that, and then he put it inside of the bow. I wanted to try to put it into the actual ear, so I'm going to be showing you guys how I did that, but I do want to show you how these little devices work. So it looks just like this, and I believe that the N is like neutral, meaning it won't be doing anything. Like if I press it, nothing happens. It's not recording, it's not playing. If I put it to P, that's for play. So that's the setting that you're gonna wanna leave it in when you're done. And then when you click this, it will play, but nothing is recorded at the moment. So when you're ready to record, you switch it to R for record. And then I pulled up this short of paging Mr. Morrow, Mr. Tom Morrow, because that's my personal favorite part of the People Mover. It makes me laugh every single time. So I'm going to be recording this sound from this little short on YouTube. I just typed in, oh wow, I spelled people wrong. Well, it still worked. The People Mover paging Mr. Morrow, and then this did come up as a short, and I'm going to play the YouTube video while I'm in the R mode. So you hold this down, you're going to get the red light, and it's going to be recording everything that you say. And then you switch it to P to check it. So you hold this down, you're gonna get the red light, and it's gonna be recording everything that you say. And then if you're like, oh, gross, no, I hated that, then you're gonna switch it back to R, hold it down again. This is me trying again because the first version was terrible. Switch it to P. This is me trying again because the first version was terrible. See, super easy, super simple. I don't know how many times you can re-record. Like, I'm assuming it's infinite, but maybe don't, like, you know, shoot for 45 tries. Anyway, so after you've recorded your sound, then we're going to move into the next steps of including this in your set of ears. So using just one of those cardboard ear cutouts, you're going to place your sound box in the center of the ear and trace it as closely to the line as you possibly can. And then you're going to use an X-Acto knife to cut this out. You could try scissors, but I really do think a craft knife would be best because you can be more exact with your cuts. You also won't have to bend the cardboard or damage the cardboard in the process. So I did cut on the line, and it gave me a perfect hole for it. So next I'm going to take a second cardboard ear, and I'm going to trace the hole onto this cardboard ear and then cut that out. We are going to still be double layering the ear because obviously we still want it to be really sturdy and well supported and last a really long time. So after cutting this hole out, I obviously need to check the size on that one as well. And I did cut this one a little bit too small. So again, just going in with my X-Acto knife, I will shave it down until I have it to the right size. Now that I know this sound box fits between these two pieces of cardboard perfectly, we can move on to the next step. For this particular set of ears, I did decide to do a heat transfer vinyl design on them, so I just Google image searched the People Mover to see what images came up, and one of them was Space Mountain with the phrase "Paging Mr. Morrow, Mr. Tom Morrow," which is the recording that I decided to do on the soundbox. So I thought that was perfect for one side, so I'm just weeding this out of glitter heat transfer vinyl, and then I also found an image of the Transit Authority transportation logo, and I did have to alter it a little bit in my Silhouette software, but after I had it to where it would cut nicely, that was the design that I decided to put on the other ear. So I'm just going to weed out this vinyl and then use my heat press to press the vinyl onto that satin fabric. After pressing the design onto the ears, I'm just peeling off the transfer tape, and this is how they turned out. I think it came out really, really cute. I did have to change the designs just a little bit just so that it would cut nicer, but I do think it came out nice. So now I'm going to start with the soundbox side of the ears. So I did disconnect the cardboard from the soundbox just to start. And I am going to do my normal method of gluing, but I am not going to be doing felt. So if you guys have watched my last probably 15-20 ear tutorials, I normally put felt first, but this time we're going to be using just batting or stuffing. So just using thin lines of hot glue, I'm lining the edge of the cardboard ear and folding over my fabric and tapping it down into the hot glue. I am going to leave the bottom open because we're just going to be using some stuffing to fluff the ears up and disguise the voice box being inside the ear. You want to make sure you leave yourself a little bit of slack on your fabric because obviously not only does it have to stretch across the sound box itself, but you want to be able to stuff it nicely so that it looks like there's no sound box inside. So now I'm just kind of testing this out, seeing how the sound box works, fluffing out my stuffing, and then just stuffing it to where I like it. Once your ear is nice and fluffy and you're putting the sound box back in, make sure that you have the settings set to play so that whenever you press the button, your sound will play. If you don't switch that switch to the letter P, then it won't work. And once you close up this ear, you would have to destroy it to get it back out. So that would stink. So make sure that it is set to P, test it out. And some of my fabric started to kind of pull from the cardboard, so I'm just reinforcing it with a little bit more hot glue. And then I'm going to close up the bottom of the fabric to make sure none of that stuffing comes out. I do like to cut the fabric in half on the bottom and fold it over one half at a time. I find that this prevents puckering on the bottom of the ear and it makes your fabric look a little bit nicer and more finished. Then I will repeat these steps on the back side of the cardboard. So this time you don't have to fit the sound box in just yet, but you are going to do small lines of hot glue, fold over your fabric, and tap it down onto the cardboard, and then leave yourself a little bit of slack to add the stuffing inside and the back of the sound box as well. Once the back half is all ready, you're going to put a pretty generous amount of hot glue onto the cardboard portion of the ear, and then you're going to take the top portion, align the sound box and make sure that it fit inside the hole, and then just very firmly start pressing down the cardboard into itself so that it will glue and adhere together. This is definitely one you want to hold in place until you feel the hot glue completely cool, because you want to make sure that you have a nice, good adherence. Next, we're going to be adding trim to the edge of the ear. I chose this kind of S-curve trim from Hobby Lobby. It is just in their trim section, in their fabric section if you're looking for this specific one, and they also have it in gold if you're looking. But just using thin lines of hot glue, you're going to tap your trim down and then cut off the excess. I do use a lighter often to burn the edges of my trim because it stops it from fraying and coming apart. Next, we're going to be making the bow. I have these sheets of holographic vinyl that I really love to use for bows. I just think they make the prettiest bows. And you don't have to do much. You really just have to cut it to the size that you're wanting. I chose to cut mine to 4 inches by 5 inches, and then I'm just going to accordion fold it and check the sizing and see if my lines are straight, because that's definitely the hardest part with this, is making sure that your lines are straight. I am going to leave this in just to give you guys like a fair warning. So initially with the bow, I did try to wrap around the center with hot glue using the vinyl that matches it. But this just didn't hold very well, even though I clipped it and let it sit for a really long time. So I do end up taking that middle piece off and instead using the same silver trim that I used on the edges of the ears. So I am going to set the bow off to the side because I'm going to redo it. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach the ears. To attach the ears, I'm using this ear spacing template. I do have this link down below for you guys. It's totally free. You just have to print it and it'll give you the right spacing between the ears. It's about 2.5 inches, maybe a little bit less if you're just trying to measure it. But I apply a pretty good amount of hot glue to the bottom of the ear, and then I very firmly hold it down onto the headband for a while because I want to make sure that my glue has fully set and really attached well to the headband before moving on to the other ear. Once I feel like the first one has attached well, then I'll move on to the second one, just repeating those steps and again firmly holding it down onto the headband until the glue fully sets and dries. I felt like the ears were kind of missing something, so I pulled out a different silver trim. This one has like little loopies on the top and the bottom, and you can pick this up at most craft stores. I know that Hobby Lobby and Joann's both have it, but I'm just using that to line the bottom of the ear. The nice part about adding trim on the bottom is it does reinforce your ear. It also can cover up any glue that might have oozed out, and it just adds a nice finished look most of the time. But I liked the added element of texture because the fabric is so plain. So I'm just going to add this to the bottom of the ears using thin lines of hot glue and then just gently tapping the trim down into the hot glue. So like I said initially, I did attach the bow that had the vinyl in the center, but I just didn't like how loose it looked, and I was able to just peel the bow right off. So I kind of hated that, and I did decide to retry. So I pulled the bow off, and then I am going to add this same silver trim that I did around the edging of the ears. I am using a lighter to seal my edges so that it doesn't fray. And then I'm going to use hot glue to attach the trim around the center of the ear just to reinforce it. Obviously, I need to snip off any excess, and then you're going to apply a little bit of hot glue to the center of the bow and firmly press that down. Then to attach it to the headband, you're going to add some hot glue to the center of the headband, firmly press the bow down, and then I like to use these little clips just to hold it in place while the glue is drying. And that's the final step in making these ears. I think these came out super cute, and they're very different and definitely represent a ride that doesn't get much love.